9 years ago, this weekend was one of the hardest weeks of my life and one of the best weeks of my life. It all started almost 11 years ago. Almost 11 years ago, I was at a youth conference, and our bishop at the time, Bishop James Van Johnston Jr., came up to me and said, "Nicholas, what are you going to do when you graduate high school? Do you have any plans?" And I said, "Absolutely. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a park ranger, or a veterinarian, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or a priest, or a psychologist. I have no clue." And so he just kind of smiled at me and said, "Why don't you enter seminary?" I said, "Bishop, you don't understand. I don't know if I want to be a priest." He said, "I didn't say get ordained and be a priest. I said enter seminary. That'll give you 8 years for the Lord to work on you, for you to find out if this is what he's calling you to. So enter, give it a shot." So I said, "Well, okay." I met with the vocation director, our current pastor here, and I said, "I'm going to enter this fall." And so he took me in, we worked it all out, and I entered that fall up at Conception Seminary. And when I got there, my whole focus was, I don't know if I really want to be here or not, so I'm just going to do everything I can to draw zero attention to myself. My classes were okay. I was right in the middle of my class when it came to grades. When it came to my pastoral ministry and going out there, I didn't do anything exceptional. I was adequate. My spiritual director, I got to sit with regularly, and he's like, "Yeah, you're doing okay." Everything about me was okay. I didn't want anyone to really notice me. Fortunately for me and for the church, that's not how seminary works. Whether or not you're trying to fly under the radar, you have these people called formators who, because you walked in the door, you're being focused on. And their goal is to help you grow to be better. So after I had completed 1 year, I returned in that fall, right before Christmas break. My formator called me to his office and said, "All right, you don't really want to be here." I said, "No, I do want to be here." He said, "Really? You've not shown it. You've been okay, but not trying to do better. Come back after Christmas break and tell me whether or not you really want to continue." So I thought about it over Christmas break, and when I returned, I said, "Yes, I do want to continue. I do want to continue this formation to see if this is what God's calling me to." He said, "Okay, what's your reason for staying?" I was like, "Well, I want to help people." It's like, "That's great. What does that have to do with the priesthood?" It's like, "What do you mean? Priests help people." He said, "Yes, but so do doctors." "Well, I want to be able to help people through problems." "Well, then be a counselor." "Well, no, not just those kind of problems. Be a social worker." Like, well, he said, "There's nothing special in that mindset of a priest. We're all called to help one another. So why the priesthood?" I said, I don't know. He said, "Okay, you have till Easter to give me a good answer. If you don't give me a good answer, I'm going to ask for your letter of withdrawal from the seminary." I said, "Well, okay." He goes, "But I'm not going to hedge bets against you or anything like that. I'm going to try to help you. So the first weekend in February, I am sending you to Kansas City to live with a religious order. The Little Brothers of Jesus, Little Sisters of the Lamb. They're a French community out of Kansas City. I'm going to live with them, live with the brothers, and do everything they do." So I said, okay. Finished my classes on Friday, got there Friday night. First thing we did was an hour of Eucharistic adoration and night prayer, then went to bed. Saturday morning, you wake up, 6 a.m., there's an hour of Eucharistic adoration. 7 a.m., breakfast. 8 a.m., Eucharistic adoration. 9 a.m., it's usually some prayer or something going on in the community. 10 a.m. is adoration. 11 a.m., we do some more things. Then you got lunch in there. You got time for ministry and going out and doing some work. And throughout the day, we're constantly sitting before the Blessed Sacrament. We had Mass over, walked a mile and a half over to the sisters, had Mass with them. had dinner with them, had more adoration with them. And at the end of the night, we sat and we did a little bit of their Bible study they do every week. And I wasn't there throughout the whole week. They start it on Saturday. They do it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They meet and they go over what the following Sunday's gospel is going to be. And they do what's called Lectio Divina. It's you sit with the scripture reading and you read through it and you just pray with it. Then you focus on what's one or two words or passages that pop out to you. How does that affect me right now? How do I feel called to go deeper? It's a wonderful way of prayer, and I encourage you all, if you can, to do stuff like that. But that night, we had gone to bed, and when I woke up at 3 a.m., I couldn't get back to sleep. So I went and sat in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and I said, all right, God, it's Sunday. After Mass, I returned back to the seminary, and I am no better off than where I was. What do you want from me? Where should I go? I'm lost, I'm broken, I got nothing to do. What do you want? And then I heard these words. Give me your all, and I will work wonders. Not become a priest and I will work wonders, but give me your all, and I will work wonders. The gospel passage I had been meditating with that whole week was today's gospel. It's amazing now, at every 3 years when this gospel passage rolls back around on our Sunday, it still reminds me of that very encounter. And I go back and I have to reevaluate. How have I been the salt of the earth? Ultimately, salt can't really lose its taste. It's kind of the property of what salt is. Sure, you can end up removing all the salt from an object, and then it no longer tastes salty, but salt itself will always taste salty. It always has that. But even the idea of it being thrown out and trampled underfoot isn't mean it's a waste. Salt would be used for clearing path because once you put it on the ground in an area, it would kill the plants there. So you can walk on a road and on a pathway without having to trample over thorns. It's great for thawing and melting ice. It is also great for preserving things. So that's what I take in every time I hear this. How am I being the salt of the earth? How am I preserving what needs to be preserved? How am I making clear the path for others? How am I adding flavor to other people's life? How am I being the light I need to be to shine in the darkness of people's lives? How am I drawing people to Christ like a moth to a candle? That's what we're called to meditate on with this scripture. With this gospel, we're all called into exactly that thought. We might think at times we are doing nothing, we're pointless. But ultimately, that's never the case. Even at our worst, we're still able to be a blessing in some way for someone else. And at our best, we're drawing them to God. My encouragement for you all this week, take this scripture passage. Take this gospel and read it several times this week. Think on that. Where are you being the salt of the earth? Where are you being the light? And where are you failing in that? And where can we grow and be better? Because it's wonderful and it's important. We need to acknowledge where we're doing well. We also need to be aware of where we can grow and do better. None of us are perfect. We can always do better. Ultimately, if we're willing to do that, then we will be able to take these words that I took and wrote on the bottom of my ordination card. If we're able to truly give in and let God take control of our lives, then we can give God our all, and he truly will work wonders.